Hello, microphone check 1 2 1 2. Hello, welcome to Atomic Movie Reviews, Film Society. I'm your host, Atomicon Rex. Here we discuss films that have a narrative background in aliens, ghosts, robots, and creatures. Today's film is Avatar: Way of Water. I'm not sure why he called it The Way of Water. I think it was referenced in the movie, but I didn't pick up on it. So let's just jump into it. What are some plot and narrative predictions? My prediction was wrong. One of the crew members predicted that there would probably be a part 3. And I think there might be, because it did leave with a cliffhanger. The villain did not die in this one, and he should have. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Anyways, so I do believe that there's going to be a part 3. What is the genre? I would place it in war fantasy. It's more of a war movie. I mean, there's fantasy elements in the sense that they're on an alien planet, but it's definitely a war movie. The fantasy element comes in. You're on an alien planet that's full of water, and then there's this psychic Navi that could do things that the other Navi can't do. Okay, so that's where the fantasy element comes in. Point number 3, cinematography. It was a 3D film. It was actually good. I haven't seen a 3D film probably since the last Avatar, now that I think about it. I don't know. But I haven't seen the 3D film since the pandemic. I know that for sure. And this was really good. Like, I tried to see if there was any faults or flaws in it, and I could not tell. It looked pretty real. So, he did a good job there. Was it an original work? No, this is part 2. This is a sequel to the first Avatar, which is an original work. I don't think it was based on a book, comic book, or anything like that. I think he thought it up all by himself. But it is part 2. It's the sequel. It's okay. Like, you can watch it standalone. Like, if you haven't seen the first one, you can watch this one. But I really recommend you see the first one first. Set design. Well, the CGI was on point. Like, I can't tell that the Na'vi were not real people. Like, they did not look like Pixar animated characters. They looked real. Like, they looked real. So he put a lot of technique and a lot of art into this movie. TV plots and conventions that I noticed in the film. What TV plots and conventions did I notice in the film? I'm gonna go with the lost orphan trope. Okay, that's what I noticed. That was the first trope I noticed in the film. I'm sure there's a couple other ones. A grieving mother, revenge tale, and all of that. But what I noticed was that there was clearly a human child being raised by the Na'vi. Okay, and that's the theme that's running throughout the movie. At least when it comes to the human side. They're like, well, they got one of us, and they're raising him like he's them, and he's not. He's one of us. So that was interesting. Well, let's talk about the characters. So Jack Sully is the hero. He's a human that possessed an avatar in the first movie to infiltrate the Na'vi. Okay, he ends up falling in love with this girl, and I guess he ends up leaving his paralyzed body and actually joining the avatar that he's mentally possessed. So now he's a full avatar. His mind is just not controlling the avatar. He is in the avatar. Now, see, this is why I needed to watch the first one, because I just needed to kind of like brush up on it, because I didn't even know he was the main character. Like, I was still waiting for the main character to show up, but it was him. All right, so the villain, Stephen Lang. I think he was the coolest character in it. You know, he's probably the coolest character in the first one too. He was a military officer who died in the first one. I believe he died in the first one. But now somehow he possessed an avatar of his own. So he shows up and he's blue, all militant and everything. So he has a blue team, but they're human being, they're being sent by the human military, but they're all blue. So I mean, I guess that would be the natural evolution of the film. I just didn't see that coming. It didn't really make sense to me. I'd rather have him just be the human being hunting these people down. But he might have died in the first one, which I don't remember. I can't speak on that. Okay, well, the damsel in distress. Now, forgive me if I butcher this name, because I'm going to butcher this name. It's Neytiri, and that's Jack Sully's wife. Boy, did she have a scene in this one. She had a powerful scene in this one. She plays really like the what? How do you? I don't even know what's the word I would use. She's like the heart of the film. She kind of tells him, kind of reasons with him when he's about to make a decision, you know, that's going to affect the family for the rest of their lives. And you know, she's kind of like the heart of the film. She keeps telling him, you know, the rights and the wrongs and everything that's going to go on. But something happens to her, okay, and she loses it. And I could not tell you, all right, that she was anything but an actual grieving mother. Like, she had me convinced. I was pissed for her. It was a really good and powerful scene. The Na'vi kids. Okay, so this is my main complaint on the movie. They have this one psychic elf Na'vi that stares at snails and talks to plants and all of this stuff, and they don't explain why. Okay, now the crew was trying to tell me something about the lab technician in the previous movie, and that's how I didn't see the connection. Okay, I want to know how she got her superpowers and why she's so different from the other Na'vi. Why she's so weird. I get that she's half human, half Na'vi, and all of that, but still, like, this girl is talking to plants and wells and stuff like that. Like, it's just weird. And they're doing what she's like Aquaman in this. Ooh, I didn't think about that. She's basically Aqua Girl in this movie. All right, so what are the weapons? Okay, so the Na'vi have basically tribal weapons. They got bows and arrows, spears, knives, and swords. And then the human side, the military, have machine guns, battleships, helicopters, all of that. Mode of transportation. The Na'vi use whales and big fish. The human side use battleships. What is the locality? The locality is a planet ocean. The whole movie is based on a planet ocean. It's too much water for me. It was way too much water for me. You could get tired of that. They need to change the scenes a little bit, and, you know, I mean, they did, but they changed them in water. Okay. And so it's just too much water. It's too much blue. Too much blue in this movie. Okay, so acting. Did the actors seem believable? Yeah. I was convinced that everybody was an actual Na'vi. I was convinced that everybody was actually there and actually playing the characters that they were playing. Nobody threw me off. Everybody was cast just right. And it's kind of hard to say who's cast when half the characters are animated anyway. You know, but the voices and the acting and the facial expressions had me convinced everything in this movie was real. What is the cultural impact of the movie? Did it break any new ground? Okay, so the first Avatar, I guess, was the greatest or highest grossing film of all time. Like it was the first film that hit $1 billion like in one weekend or something like that. Now, Avengers Infinity Game took that mantle, knocked them off their, so he released it again, right, to take it back. But that doesn't count. I don't feel that counts. Okay, like he set the record. Okay, Avengers Infinity War broke that record. Okay, and you don't get to re-release the same movie. What you should have done, okay, is do this movie back then to compete with Avengers Infinity War. That's what you should have did. Not release the same movie. So they're gonna go for the whole $1 billion highest grossing thing. At this point, after Black Panther hit $1 billion, a couple movies hit $1 billion. Like it's really not. Even if you do 5 billion, 10 billion, like at this point, it's you're not really breaking records. You're in the $1 billion club, yeah, okay, but that club was started. That club was already started, all right, and someone broke the original record already. So you're just trying to come back and relive glory. You might be 15 years too late. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. What is the rating system? It is definitely theater worthy. If you're gonna watch this movie, I would watch it 3D at the theater. If you're gonna wait to see it on streaming, it's just another Disney movie. Unless you have like some sort of 3D technology at your house, but it's still not gonna be as epic as it is on a theater screen. Like it's just not. Unless you have that, whole Oculus virtual reality. I don't know. Unless you have that kind of technology, then you might be okay. But you need to see this movie in the theater, in 3D. To not see it in the 3D, there is absolutely no point. You might as well just wait for streaming. Okay, so summary and recommendations. Let me see. Avatar 2, Way of Water. That's the name of the movie. I would recommend you seeing it in theaters. I would also recommend that you watch the first one because I was lost. I had to do some research to find out who was who and what was what and how was how. Because it kind of feels like there's a movie missing. Like there's a gap. There's a story gap between this movie and the previous one. At least that's what I feel. Okay, well that's the summary and recommendation. I think it's a good movie. I think you should see it in the theaters. If you bought the first one, you're gonna buy this one. I didn't buy the first one, and I'm not gonna buy this one. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea. Not my type of movie. I'll wait for it on streaming, but I do recommend you seeing it in the theaters. Thank you. Happy New Year's. Black to be back on YouTube, and Atomicon Rex out. Goodbye. Bye-bye.